And here's the thing about when you're heartbroken. I think about it a lot. I think that for people who are heartbroken, it's almost like time slows down to a much more gradual pace. And you're walking around and you feel like heartbreak is written across your forehead, like everyone else can see it. Um, and I think the worst part about heartbreak is that if you think about what it takes to let somebody into your life, what it takes to fall in love or even just trust someone enough to make a new friend, it takes vulnerability. It takes letting down your walls and letting somebody in, and it takes trusting someone. And I think the worst part about when your heart is broken or when somebody betrays you or when they leave you is that the first thing that you do is you start regretting letting them in, trusting them, and being vulnerable. And you sit there and you think, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Why did I trust that person? Why didn't I play mind games with them? You're supposed to mess up people's heads. That's what everyone says, and I just let them in. Why did I do that? And I just want you to know that you can regret a lot of things in life, and regrets are valid, but trusting someone, letting someone in, and being vulnerable are not valid regrets. You should never feel stupid for doing something you're supposed to. So then you have to move on, right? You have to replace all of these habits of the places where you let that person in. You have to fill in the holes of the space that you made for them. And it's hard in the beginning, I'm sure, but maybe over time you start replacing all of that time that you spent on that person with your friends who actually want to hang out with you. And maybe the decisions you start to make are no longer based on what someone you're in love with wants you to do. Maybe they're based on only what you want to do. And little by little, you start filling in the gaps. And more every day, time passes and you start to forget that you felt like you had heartbreak written across your forehead, like you were painted with it. And maybe one day, a year later, a month later, 3 months later, 3 years later, 7 days later, you can look in the mirror and you don't see heartbreak written anywhere anymore. And in that moment, you're clean.